Until next time, as always, peace out. Go Blazers.
Step back, talk game like Dame. Now they all know our name. Crossover, then go straight to the hezzy. I'm a dunker like Denny. Small market, yeah, we making it big. Now we got too many cameras. Clinging on guards like Drew. You can't even move, ain't nobody stopping us. Rip City turn, we making some noise. Pass to the present, we getting like roar. More to be rockin', we bringing the force. Yang with a dime, that's a bucket, of course. If straight and by the dunk, you gotta move. Young and still hustling like Scoop. Come and tap in, see what's new. Blazers Uprise on the crew.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Blazers Uprise post-game show. Tonight, the Portland Trail Blazers started off the Tom Dundon era in style, beating the Los Angeles Clippers 114-104 to maintain hope for that 8th seed. The Blazers, of course, have another matchup against the Clippers on April 10th. They're now a half game behind the Clippers, trailing in the season series 2-1. But this was, by all accounts, the most important game of the season for the Portland Trail Blazers. Thiago Splitter admitted as such, and this was probably the most impressive game that we've seen in months from this Blazer team as they dominate the Clippers, maintain a double-digit lead, even when it looked like it might be one of those games that gets away from the Blazers where they choke a lead. No, they did a great job to end the third quarter to maintain control of this game, and they pull out a massive victory. We're going to break it all down for you guys today. We're going to talk about the playoff and play-in picture. The Blazers, of course, if they can get that 8th seed, you're guaranteed at least 2 play-in or playoff games. So looking forward to some postseason basketball. Eric, what's going on, man? I'm happy to be back with you. How are you doing?
I'm doing good after watching this Blazer game. Finally, a good performance against a decent team. And, yeah, they played really well. A lot to talk about from this game.
Yeah, man, I'm looking forward to it. I'm happy to be back with a normal setup. Hopefully no internet issues. It's been like 4 streams, it's been a minute. So happy to be back with you guys. Happy to be talking about a massive victory for the Portland Trail Blazers in a night where, you're going into this game, Kawhi Leonard producing like an absolute superstar. The Clippers have been maybe surprisingly good since trading away James Harden, bringing in Darius Garland. They traded away Ivica Zubac, brought in Benedict Mathurin. He didn't really do anything tonight, but it seemed like the Clippers were maybe punting at the trade deadline, trying to get a little bit younger, not wanting to pay James Harden in the future, trading him off to Cleveland. It seemed like this Clippers team was maybe willing to give up control of an 8th or a 9th seed. At that point they were chasing it. But they've won a lot of games since then. That's why they are in 8th place. That's why they've passed both the Blazers and the Warriors. This is a good Clippers team. And this is a Blazer team that had been taking care of business against bottom feeders. But Except Dallas. But didn't really have a signature win. Didn't really have a win in the past 2-3 months. We've looked at the schedule here on stream and talked about, man, when was the last time the Blazers beat an above 500 team with their best player? It's been quite some time. It's been at least 2 months. Tonight they did that, and they did it on the road. And it wasn't just a game that they squeaked out. This was a game that the Blazers controlled. This was a game in which, with Kawhi Leonard on the other side, Denny Avdia and Drew Holiday were the best players on the floor. You got Denny Avdia, the first-time All-Star, stepping up and playing like the Denny Avdia we saw earlier this season, the Denny Avdia that we've been waiting for. He was phenomenal tonight. And then Drew Holiday. This is why the Portland Trail Blazers brought Drew Holiday in. He hits big-time shots. And he hit a bunch of big-time shots throughout this game and controlled this game offensively for the Blazers in a way that was extremely impressive. What's going on, chat? Hopefully you guys are having a good start to your week. Shout out to Suns Valley Podcast. Member 41 months says, we meeting up Suns versus Blazers in the play-in. I don't know if I can commit to a play-in, a live stream, Gabe, even if it's Suns versus Blazers. This is the first postseason basketball that we've had since 2021. Hopefully we are facing you guys, but I don't know. I might just want to rage in my living room and then hopefully get excited at the end as the Blazers pull off a come-from-behind victory or something, So we'll see. Thank you for being a channel member. And then shout out to my guy, Muvsy Hoops. I saw people in the comments section talking about if I made the intro song. No, that's Muvsy. Muvsy made the intro song, so gotta give him his credit. Thank you, Muzzy, for the 14 Canadian dollar donation. Says, I love Drew Holiday. Absolutely. Loved Drew Holiday tonight. Man, that was an impressive shot-making clinic from him. He had kind of had some quiet games recently, but this was the Drew Holiday that we saw earlier in the month of March, hitting a ton of tough step-back threes. Thank you, Muzzy, for the donation. Before we jump into things, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe so you can be with us as we ramp up to postseason basketball. Don't know if this team's going to get an 8th seed or a 9th seed, but whatever they get, we'll have you covered. Looking forward to covering a play-in game. Make sure you have that bell button turned on. And leave a like. It's the easiest way to support the stream. Eric, man, where do you want to start off with this one? There's plenty of good to talk about from this game, especially that first half, especially that second quarter was phenomenal. Also impressed with the way they kind of responded to the Clippers' run there in the third. So I'll kind of give you your pick. There's a bunch of different points in this game that I think we need to talk about.
Well, overall, just want to mention real quick that if they would have lost this game, obviously dreams of the 8th seed would have been pretty much over. So winning this game, just huge, being a half game back now with one more game remaining against them. The Clippers' next game is against the Spurs, so hopefully the Spurs are playing everyone in that game and want to win that. They still have a chance at getting the first seed, so this is likely going to come down to the last few games, and it's very exciting compared to the alternative had we not shown up and lost this game. So shout out to the Blazers, man. That leads me into the second half is where I want to start, and it's because the Clippers came out of the halftime break, and it felt like they were going to ratchet up the pressure. And for a moment, I was like, "Oh man, here we go. The Blazers are gonna see the other team start to play tougher on defense. Their offense is going to get stagnant, and they're gonna score like 20 points in each quarter in the second half, and we're gonna lose this game that we're up 19, right?"
A movie that we've seen multiple times this season.
Right, yeah. It's like, I'm sure most of you watching felt like that movie was coming. But luckily for the Blazers, they hit a bunch of big shots. The Clippers played a pretty crazy all-out defense on Denny there at the end, and they were sending the double team pretty early on him, and the Blazers are going to have to figure out a way to clean that up because they almost turned the ball over a bunch. Even the ones that got through were kind of shaky passes that if other teams were smart, they would have jumped those passes, and those would have resulted in a lot of turnovers. So there's a lot to learn from this game as well. But just the fact that they made enough plays to get the job done in that second half, I think shows a lot of growth, because I don't think earlier in the season this team stands up to that pressure coming out of halftime and lives to tell about it at the end.
Yeah. I think the team maybe in early January when they were playing their best basketball earlier this season might have survived that run in the third quarter from the Clippers. But outside of that, we've seen this team really struggle in second halves offensively against good teams. Of course, they blew a 19-point lead against the Charlotte Hornets, and that was a game that was at home, and that was a game where the Blazers essentially got stagnant. Charlotte ratcheted up their pressure, and the Blazers turned over the ball a lot and stopped making threes like they were in the first half. And that's the recipe for the Blazers to blow a second half lead, no matter how big. You know, we've seen them blow almost 20-point leads. And it looked like that was about to happen. I'll be honest, man. There was a point in the third quarter, I think the Blazers were up 8 or 10 points, and I was like, oh, they're probably going to lose this game. And, you know, yeah, I'm being a bit cynical, but we've seen this story before where a team out of halftime ratchets up the on-ball pressure, the Blazers struggle, the Blazers turn over the ball a lot, and then all of a sudden they're not making threes like they were in the first half. You know, you got Tamati Kamara going 3 for 5 from 3 in the first half, and we've seen Tamati have great first half three-point shooting nights, and then the second half completely fades away, like it doesn't make a three. And it looked like that recipe was playing out again. in that third quarter when the Clippers started making a run. And then I thought Drew Holiday did a great job of settling things down in the latter half of that quarter, making some shots, but just not playing too rushed, because the Blazers have an issue when defenses start playing physical basketball, pressure in the ball, where they get a little too sped up and they try and make tough passes. It results in turnovers. It results in runouts the other way, and teams are able to get fast break points. But I thought they did a great job of kind of slowing down. And yeah, maybe things, maybe there were some possessions where things got a little bit hairy. There was that, and this was late in the fourth, but the possession where they almost had a shot clock violation and Tamati hits a floater because they were passing the ball well. I thought they had some really good interior passing moments in this game. I thought the ball movement, they did a good job of getting back to that the latter half of the third quarter and the fourth quarter, because we've talked about this team in terms of their ball movement. When they're playing well and able to get rolling in first halves, a lot of times they're moving the ball. And yeah, they're making shots, but they're getting good, high-quality shots. And then teams, they ratchet up the on-ball pressure. The Blazers can't get in their offense. Everybody gets stagnant, and nobody's moving. And then they struggle not only to make shots, but just to get shots off, where they become very turnover-prone. And yeah, it looked like it was going to happen, but I thought Drew did a really good job of kind of settling this team down. And then also the offensive rebounding in this game, man. That's the great equalizer. Shout out to Chris Murray. We got to say some nice things about Chris Murray today. Outside of three-point shooting, everything else, I thought he had a superb game defensively, also on the offensive boards. Let me put up the team stats here. The Blazers, 18 offensive rebounds. The commentary, we don't have second chance points on this graphic. I wish we did, because the Blazers had a ton of them. The commentators at one point said 30 second chance points. I don't know how much they finished with, but yeah, you look at the field goal attempts, 91 to the Clippers 76. We shot 5 less free throws. You don't have to shoot better than the Clippers, and the Blazers didn't. They did a great job from the free throw line, so props for that. But 45% from the field to the Clippers, 50%. And the Blazers' three-point shooting, only 33%. It felt like they were having a better three-point shooting night than that. But the three-point shooting wilted away there in the second half, but they were doing a great job of crashing the offense boards, getting a lot of those misses. And that's how they were able to withstand that Clippers run. Chris Murray did a phenomenal job on the boards, finished with 4 offensive rebounds. Tamani had 4 offensive rebounds. It wasn't just Klingon gobbling them all up. He only had 2 of the Blazers' 18, so it was a collective effort. I was really, really impressed by that. And, this was a test for this Blazer team, a high-pressure game. They kind of get punched in the mouth a little bit there to start the second half. Lead gets cut in half, and they withstand it, and they keep control of the game. That's something we haven't really seen, and that's something that really impressed me about this team tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And going back to Drew, it's so nice to have a veteran like that when the offense starts to break down or they take a player out like they did with Denny. And there was no way Denny was going to be able to get through those double teams up top. And so to have Drew as an outlet, it seemingly ended up in his hands wide open numerous times in the fourth quarter. And I can't think of a much better situation than to end up with Drew coming out of that double team with the ball wide open. And so, yeah, that's something they need to exploit. Like I said, they need to clean it up. They were getting too far away from the passes, so the passes were like longer than they needed to be. And the Blazers didn't do a great job of attacking the 4-on-3 at times, but when they swung the ball and moved it and it came back to Drew, a lot of times he was wide open and he was nailing the 3 tonight. I think he finished 7 of 15. But a lot of those were tough step back ones as well. But yeah, just nice to see them finally withstand that pressure defense, because the Clippers threw everything at them in this game. And the offensive rebounds combined with just having 2 guys who can handle the ball like that. And then just thinking about like next year having Dame as a third player in that mix, having 3 players that can handle the ball or bring it up. I don't know how you're going to be able to guard that if you're an opposing team. So just kind of dreaming about next year too. But we're still in it this year, and thankfully the Blazers have kept themselves alive for that 8th spot.
Yeah, now a game above 500. We can finally say they're above 500 again. The Blazers, it's been so long since they've been above 500 the second half of a season. And this season, they finally got there. I believe they were 23-22 right after the halfway point. It's like, oh, man, we're finally above 500. We've won more games than we've lost. And then they immediately lost a bunch of games. We're like 5-6 games below 500. And have been battling back ever since. Now 39-38 on the season. It looks like it's probably going to be an above 500 season for the Blazers. You got 5 games left. You got to win 3 of the 5. Can they do it? We'll see. But it would be nice to have an above 500 season. But it would be even nicer to get the 8th seed. And, Thiago talked about how this was the most important game of the season. They played like it was the most important game of the season.
Definitely a playoff atmosphere. Yeah.
The intensity on defense and on the glass was awesome. It was awesome. I've roasted Thiago Splitter, and I've roasted this organization for acting like this team plays super, super hard. Thiago's come out in games that they've lost, like saying, really proud of our effort today in a game where they give up like 18 offensive rebounds and don't pursue the ball on the defensive glass. And I mean, the defense lately has been really good, but they've kind of been feasting on bottom feeders. Today, it was really good against a team that's a good team. This is a good Clippers team, They're above 500, 39-37. It's been a while since the Blazers have had a defensive performance to this level against a team that's an above 500 team. And I thought this was a perfect example of what real effort looks like, because I thought defensively, the wings especially, I thought Tamani had one of his best defensive games of the season. I thought Chris Murray was really good defensively. I thought Thibault made a legitimate impact on that end. He has been this year, but he had some really good moments defensively. Drew had some good moments defensively. If anything, the rough spot defensively at times was Klingon with his fouling, and it wasn't the best Klingon game. Normally lately, or at least at points this season, it's been Klingon anchoring the whole defense, and a bunch of other guys making mistakes, getting beat off the dribble. Klingon has to be there to clean it up. I was really, really impressed with the defensive intensity, defensive effort from the wings. And then you look at Chris Murray flying in, grabbing offensive boards, Scoot hustling for a ball going out of bounds and falling into the first row. I thought there was multiple times in this game where I was very happy with just how hard they were playing. And they played harder than the Clippers. It's one of the reasons why they won this game. They played harder than the Clippers. This is what real effort looks like. This should be the standard. If they're not playing this hard, nobody should be talking about, oh, this team played hard. They are capable of playing this hard consistently, but I am happy that in the biggest game of the year, they came out, didn't play scared, and they wanted it, and they played hard as hell. So was super, super happy about the effort.
Well, there was a play early in this game where Derek Jones just outworked Denny for a rebound, and I was like, oh man, let's not lose this game because of effort. And then the rest of the game, Denny was really good boxing out and attacking those boards. Obviously, what did he finish with, 12 or something like that? So yeah, I was a little worried about it at the beginning of this game when Derek Jones got that rebound, but luckily the Blazers completely controlled the boards and actually dominated the boards. And sorry, it's rare that we get to say that.
Absolutely. What do you think of the defense tonight, though? Because Kawhi, he gets 23, but it wasn't a great 23 for him. He goes 0 for 5 from 3. He gets the line 10 times, makes 9 free throws. That's where a lot of his points came from. He was 7 for 15 from the field. Didn't feel like he was as impactful as he normally is game in, game out for this Clippers team. Of course, he's been a little bit banged up lately, but I thought the Blazers did a good job kind of containing him. Darius Garland goes 7 for 17 with 20 points. Has 5 turnovers, though, only 4 assists, and it wasn't a particularly efficient night for him. Brook Lopez, who killed us earlier in the year, he had 18, which is still kind of a lot for him, but goes 2 for 8 from 3 instead of making 10 or 9 or whatever it was earlier in the season. And then Benedict Mathurin off the bench, 22 minutes, 4 points, 2 for 7 from the field, 0 for 1 from 3, 2 turnovers, no assists, no rebounds. He had absolutely zero impact on this game. Though I thought the Blazers did a great defensive job against him. Jordan Miller was the only guy off the bench who really did anything. He had 16, but Derrick Jones Jr. a single point in 23 minutes. John Collins, he was 3 for 3 from 3. He was 7 for 8 from the field, so he had an impact. But you look at the Clippers, 14 turnovers. They do shoot 50%, but only 33% from 3. They get to the line 23 times. So, the field goal percentage, 50%, that's a little high, but they took the majority of their shots from inside the arc. But I thought there was some really good defense played on Kawhi in this game, really good defense played on Darius Garland in this game. What do you think of the defensive effort tonight?
Yeah, I thought the effort was good. I'm still not a fan of, especially against teams that have a stretch center, of the super drop defense that we started the game with. So I'm still a little worried about that. I think the Clippers missed a lot of threes that they might hit the next time we play them or in a playing game. So we can't just sit back and let them, especially Brook, shoot threes. And Kawhi's not going to go 0 for 5 again against us. So I felt like we got a little lucky there. But I actually noticed Drew on defense today. He guarded Kawhi several possessions, was fighting through screens and stuff. So that was cool to actually notice him on defense after making that comment a few streams ago about how he just seems to be out there, but I never really see him make any memorable plays this season on defense. But yeah, Kawhi, he's one of those players where if he's as aggressive as he can be, he's almost impossible to stop. And I felt like he really did us a favor tonight by there was a large stretch of this game where he wasn't even noticeable on the court. And it really hurt the Clippers, I thought, tonight. But the Blazers, I don't know, man, that drop defense with both their bigs, I think against a team like the Clippers, you just got to switch a little bit more often and let your bigs try to guard the perimeter a little bit, because they don't really have – Brook took it inside and scored a couple of tough buckets, but I think you can live with that. What I don't want to see happen is give up those open threes. So I think against a team like the Clippers, I would rather them not play as deep of a drop and get out on the shooters a little more.
I thought they played it very, very well tonight. He goes 2 for 8 from 3. I think what they did a good job of, and this is what you're supposed to do in a drop against a stretch big that pops, you got to properly stunt from one pass away. And the thing is, the Blazers don't really do a good job of executing this. Because essentially with Klingham in a deep drop, he needs time to get out there to the big man when he pops. And if he has no help, that's too far of a distance for him to cover to really bother the shot. It's basically a wide open 3. I thought Thibault especially did a really good job of this. One pass away, stunting at the ball, basically stepping towards Brook Lopez, making him hesitate on that 3, buying Klingham time to rotate out there to Lopez, and he still got some shots off, but they weren't wide open, and it was not in rhythm because he's getting stunted one pass away. Now, the thing that can get you in trouble is if you get too far off a shooter, or get back cut while doing it. That's kind of the weakness of doing that from one pass away. But I thought the Blazers did a good job of doing that and recovering properly to not make that much of an option. And I think that's part of the reason why Brook Lopez went 2 for 8 from 3 compared to what happened in Moda Center earlier this year, where Brook Lopez torched the Blazers from 3, where it was basically to start the game, he's getting wide open 3s and nobody's stepping towards him. So it's just warm-up shots, practice shots. Then he gets a rhythm, and then he makes a contested one. And then you look up at the scoreboard, and he has, what do you have in the first half in that game? 5 threes? 6? I don't remember. It was a lot. I lost count. It was so many. But I thought that was the difference in this game. They did a good job as a team with some of the team defensive things that we've seen lacking this year. And that's one of those things where, Klingham in a deep drop, like, it's tough to get all the way out there. He needs help. You need to stunt one pass away. So I thought they did a good job at doing that. I think the question is if the Blazers play a team with a stretch big. I mean, you look at the play-in. Golden State, they got Porzingis, and then the Clippers, they got Brook Lopez. Like, can those teams find ways to exploit the Blazers stunting from one pass away? Because that's how the Blazers have to guard it if they're going to play a deep drop against a stretch big that picks and pops. So that's kind of like the next thing is like in the Blazers, do teams trying to exploit it? Could it be a weakness in a playoffs? But it's much better to have the conversation about can they exploit the guy that's helping Klingon get out there compared to just, they run pick and pop and Klingon's under the rim and they pass to Brook Lopez for a wide open three and nobody steps towards him. So it's completely wide open and it's a practice shot.
Yeah, well, it does help when you have guys like Derek Jones Jr. and Chris Dunn as the pass away versus I think the Warriors would have a little bit better options. So that might be a little tougher to do against them. But and also, I mean, like Porzingis can put it on the floor a little better than Brook can. But yeah, that's going to be the key is how once other teams figure out that's what the Blazers are doing, are they going to be able to make that extra pass and hit an open shooter? Are we going to be able to rotate properly to stop that after the initial jump of that stretch big? So those are all things that hopefully get cleaned up. The good part is, even though there's only 5 games left, it's much better to have that thought process begin now on how you're going to counteract that when teams start to adapt versus like in the middle of a playoff series or something where you can't really do it if you haven't done it all year and it looks clunky. So it might be tough if you play a smart team, but I don't know. It was nice to see them jump those routes, but Kawhi, I mean, he could have pulled up from 15 feet like 20 more times in this game. I'm not sure why he didn't. So I'd be interested to see if he
was 0 for 5. Could have been 0 for 10.
No, I meant like his little like mid-range jumper was money today, and I have no idea why he didn't just shoot that every time because you can't really block it. So
Klingon almost blocked one of them. There was one that he shot against Klingon. I wonder how much of that was Klingon in the game deterring that. But also it's you can't let him walk you down to that spot 15 feet away. And I thought this game, the refs let a lot of physicality go. It was refed kind of closer to a playoff game, which was really interesting to me. And Tiago got teed up. There was a lot of stuff that was not called that normally in a regular season game gets called. And I've wondered like how much that will hurt the Blazers because they're not used to that. If anything, that might have helped them today because with a guy like Kawhi, you kind of got to be physical with him at the three-point line, and you can't let him just kind of turn the corner. You can't backpedal and let him get to that spot 15 feet away from the rim because he will bury that mid-range jumper. It's his bread and butter shot. So I thought the Blazers did a good job of playing physical in this game. I mean, they always play physical, and they get called for it a lot of times. But in this game, I thought, I don't know why. I don't know if it's because nationally televised game playing for the 8th seed, but it was closer to how the playoffs are refed, I feel like. And it kind of pissed me off because the Blazers got screwed on a lot of calls, in my opinion, in this game. It wasn't really in the Blazers' favor, but I do think, being physical without fouling is something this team has struggled with, but today they were better at. They still got to line 10 times, but there was good moments.
Well,
there was good moments.
That stretch you talked about was like it felt like the refs were just like, okay, I'm gonna let these teams just play for a few possessions. We're not gonna call anything because they missed fouls on both ends on that stretch. But I mean, we'll take it. And while we're talking about this, I have to give Denny a round of applause, man. This is the second straight game since I called him out. He's been much better about not griping, at least during play.
I noticed that last game too, yeah.
Yeah, so I did mention that on last post game. tonight. He had several instances where 2 games ago he would have completely taken himself out of a play to complain to the ref and scream at them. I felt like tonight he did a much better job of that. And as Era points out in chat, I really felt like Thiago got that T because, I mean, there's no way to, unless they say something about this, but it felt to me like the Blazers staff told them, or told Denny specifically, let us handle the refs. You play basketball. We will defend you. And Thiago showed Denny that he has his back with that technical foul. And hopefully that leads more to the coaching staff getting on the refs in the future and not Denny taking himself out of the game by just worrying about the refs for like half of it.
Yeah, I never really thought about this with Thiago. Like, I'm kind of putting the piece of the puzzle here. I've talked about how Thiago is mild-mannered, you know. It's easy to notice, especially if you go to games. He's not somebody that's super loud on the sideline. He's picked up a couple of texts this year, but he's not somebody that's yelling at the refs like some other coaches in the league. He's not somebody that really is yelling at his players. And you've seen the Blazers start complaining a ton. Blazers players start complaining a ton lately. And I think that was a good thing for Thiago to step up and pick up a T. You know, yeah, you're giving the opposing team another free throw, but that's the right message, especially with this Blazer team and how they've been complaining at times lately. It's not just Denny, but it's a lot Denny. So, yeah, Denny's been better in that regard. Props to him, and props for Thiago picking up that tech. That was a good tech to pick up to show Denny, like, you don't have to be the one screaming at the refs. I'll scream at the refs, but I feel like it's something that's egregious. In that play that he picked up a T on was an egregious missed call. Denny got completely smacked on the arm on a layup on his shooting arm, and that was a really bad no call. That's the type of play where I was like, you know what, Denny, if you want to get super pissed off about not getting that call as you run back on defense, like, you should. But Thiago steps up, does it for him, so I think some props for that is deserved.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not afraid to call someone out about that stuff, and I'm not afraid to give them props when they correct it. And felt like the last couple of games, Denny's done a much better job. Of course, when you're a star player, you're gonna need to get the refs' attention when there's non-calls. But I just thought 2 games ago, what was that? The Mavericks game. I just felt like he just completely lost it with some of the turning around and yelling at the refs, and then as his guy goes right by him for a backdoor cut or something. And so shout out to whoever pointed that out or fixed that, whether that was Denny himself or the coaching staff or another player. But good to see the Blazers not be focused so much on the refs in this game, even though, like you mentioned, it seemed like there were some shaky calls at times. But just much better composure, I think. And that leads back to that second half where you keep your cool, and all of a sudden a type of pressure that would normally cause you a lot of grief and blow a lead probably, all of a sudden you're keeping your cool and maintaining your lead most of the second half. So I think those two things come hand in hand, and it was nice to see the Blazers not make it about the refs even when things weren't going their way.
Yeah, so much about this team is mental.
Mm-hmm.
So much about this team is mental. From some of the turnovers that they commit to the way they struggle when they're being pressured with the ball in their hands, and they'll get kind of soft. Some of the lazy mistakes. There's been plays this year where I think guys haven't played with enough effort, and then you look at the complaining about the refs in some previous games, and there's a lot of games where it feels like this team isn't locked in. They've had stretches where they've started first quarters abysmally slow. Third quarters, very, very slow. Fourth quarters where they score 16, 17 points, where they just have these massive lulls where they are making silly mistakes, they're taking silly shots, making silly defensive mistakes, and there's just been a lot of games where it feels like this team isn't truly locked in. They're still talented enough to beat bottom feeders while not being truly locked in, but the Dallas loss was a perfect example of like that team was not mentally locked in that game. They turned over the ball a ton. They were complaining a ton. The team we saw tonight was locked in. The team we saw tonight beats that Dallas team by 15 points, 20 points, maybe more than that. That's the difference.
Right now,
though. We'd be talking about a team that's in eighth right now. And that's been a bit of the frustrating thing for me this season is just the team not being mentally tough enough in certain situations and complaining too much and some of the defensive mistakes like I've talked about all season long. If you haven't been with us, if you're new to the channel, welcome. We talk about all the good, all the bad, break everything down as we see it. But yeah, I thought this team was locked in tonight. This is the standard for this team. They need to play like this every night. They didn't shoot the three ball well. They shot the three ball about what they shoot on the season. This wasn't one of those games where they made 23s and shot 45% from three. And it's like, yeah, we could sit here and say, man, they need to play like this every night. But obviously they're not going to because they're not a 45% three-point shooting team. This type of game that they played tonight, I think, is very sustainable. This is the style of basketball that we were supposed to see this season that we have not seen enough of. They, I feel like, can play like this night in, night out. But it was just like, oh, this is the biggest game of the year. So they lock in and they play with a ton of intensity and they get this result. Unfortunately, it hasn't really felt like that's the baseline for this team. Or we've been missing it a bit, even in some of the big wins. Some of the big wins, it's, Tomani goes Dame mode from three. Okay, well, that's something that's fluky. It's fun, but it's fluky. It's not something you can rely on the majority of nights. But getting after the offensive glass, playing defense like they did today, that is supposed to be their bread and butter and how they win basketball games.
Yeah, I agree. And then, so if you play like this and then you hit threes better than you did tonight, then you maybe have a chance to steal a game or two against a really good team if we end up making the playoffs and playing either the Spurs or the Thunder. That's the recipe to maybe stealing a game or making it a series. Now, you're not going to probably do it 4 times to win a series against one of those teams, but if you want to be competitive in those series, you have to play like this, first of all, and then second of all, you got to hit a little bit better on your 3-point shots. But against pretty much everyone else, this is good enough to win most of the time if you play defense like that and have the hustle. You're missing a lot of shots, but you're also getting a lot of those back and getting second chance points. So I think it's pretty safe to say that if the Blazers play like this, I think they're making the playoffs if they play at this in the play-in. Hopefully that's the case.
Absolutely. Let's break down some performances here. So Drew, 30 points, goes 7 for 15 from 3. A lot of them tough threes. 10 for 21 from the field, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 turnovers. More turnovers than assists, but the shot making was truly special, and I think he did a decent job of controlling the game. Maybe not a great job of setting up teammates to score, as is evident from the assist number, but I thought when the Blazers started getting a little panicky there in the third quarter, I think he had a turnover too, but after that, I thought he did a good job of kind of slowing things down and making the right play. One of his missed shots I thought was a great play where Denny gets trapped up top and the ball goes out to the wing and the middle of the floor was wide open and the Clippers were caught in rotation and Drew cut into the middle of the paint and got off a little runner that missed, but it led to an easy offensive rebound. I forget for who, but you're getting the ball into the paint against a rotating defense instead of just, oh, Denny's trap, we're going to skip it to the wing and then we're going to hold the ball and they're going to recover and now we're back at square one. So little things like that Drew does a really good job of, even though he didn't finish that type of shot. Just a true veteran game from him tonight. 30 points. He's, it's a bit of a homecoming, him playing in LA because he's from the area, went to UCLA. So happy for him to have a great game, and sad for Eric to get collab cammed. We don't like when Eric disappears. Hopefully I can bring him back. Let's go. I was at the game and we won. Light work. You need to go to every game then. This is the best game in a while. All right, you're back. What'd you think of Drew?
Drew was awesome tonight. Was a little frustrated early in this game. He had a couple turnovers, just throwing it right to the other team early. But then he had a couple of tough threes right around that time as well. And I thought in the second half he was great. Like I mentioned earlier, nice to see him actually on the ball a little bit on defense, pressuring. That's something that the Blazers really haven't done this year at all. And there were times where it allowed Tamani to not have to guard Kawhi or not pick up a cheap foul and stuff like that. So I just thought Drew on both ends was really, really good tonight. And if he can become that like tough shot maker that we need, that'd be great, because we know as this play-in comes about, teams are going to be prepared to try and sell out to stop Denny, knowing that, that's a lot of our offense is just giving the ball to Denny and letting him create on those opportunities. So if we have another guy who can hit big shots and make another team pay for doing that or paying that much attention to Denny, that's going to be huge for us. And I felt like Drew was everything we needed as that second option tonight.
Absolutely. Denny, 34 minutes played, 28 points, 8 for 15 from the field, 1 for 4 from 3, 11 for 12 from the free throw line, 11 rebounds, 8 assists, 2 turnovers, 4-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. Is this his best game since he got the back injury? I know he had a big game. I think it was against the Kings, where he had 30 points. I think that was after his back injury. But this has to be up there with one of his best games since his injury. Attacked like the Denny Avdia we saw earlier in the season. Played downhill all game long, got to the line a bunch. There's some missed calls that he should have probably had more points at the free throw line. But 11 boards, 8 assists, filled up the stat sheet. Great game from him. What were your thoughts on him? He had a big contingent there in LA.
Yeah, Denny was really good tonight. Good to see him have a good game. It seemed like he got taken out of the game in that second half a little bit, but I'm really curious to see how the Blazers counteract that. He's so fast in the open court, so I would like to see them, and they did do this a little bit, just get him an outlet quicker down the court so the other team can't double team. But yeah, it's I'm more interested in seeing how he builds off of the type of attention he's going to see the rest of the way. But yeah, tonight I thought he handled it really well. Got to make those passes a little crisper to Drew or who is ever in the middle in those situations, so they're not getting picked off. But just did such a good job of controlling the pace of this game and taking the action right to the Clippers and getting to the line 12 times. He was finishing well inside the arc. I thought he made a couple of really nice passes. The dump off one to Klingon for a dunk was really nice. And we even got to see Denny post up a couple times in this game, which was nice. They were kind of high post up, and he kind of backed the guy down a little bit. He had one where you could tell he was about to turn baseline, and he did, and there just happened to be a double team come there. I think that might have been one of the ones where he threw it away or something bad happened. But I really want to see that, especially if they're going to double team him. I would like to see them maybe not just have him bring the ball up into the double team, like try to get him the ball in more creative ways. And it was cool to see him operate out of the post a little bit. And I want to see them do that now a few times a game, so that by the play-in, the players know how to react to him in those situations, and whether to clear out and just let him go, or to cut, or what to do in that situation. Because I do think that's one of the options that could, like when we're struggling to score on offense, bring about some plays where we can maybe get an easy bucket or something.
Yeah, and I'll say this. It's much better for Denny to be taken out of a game because he's getting double teamed and defenses are completely loading up on him because he's playing so well than it is for him to be struggling like we've seen at times lately when he's, doesn't seem 100% physically, where teams aren't defending him like that. He's being single covered, but he's not really having an impact. So, or the impact that we're used to him having. So I think a game like this, they were forcing the ball out of his hands, and the Blazers made some good plays. I think, they still got to get better at flipping the angle. Denny gets trapped. He quickly swings it to the wing, who then hits the rolling big. Because sometimes when you're trapped in the big rolls, there's not a passing window to him. You got two defenders in your face. But normally there's a passing angle to the wing, and then they can hit the big. And that's something that, you look back at the 2014 Spurs, they did a phenomenal job of. They'd hit the wing, then hit the rolling big as the defense collapses from the opposite side, and the big would quickly swing it to the opposite corner, and they'd get a wide open three out of it. The Blazers, I think, still have some work to do in terms of figuring out how to beat that type of coverage. But, since they traded Dame, they've never had a player that's worthy of that type of coverage, that's good enough to draw that type of coverage. And Denny, at times this year, has been so good that teams feel the need to just get the ball out of his hands because they, feel like that's the best defensive option. The Blazers just got to be the type of team to make them pay. The issue is with some of the roster construction is not having shooters and the defense being able to rotate off a shooter and just live with, let's just say a Chris Murray shooting threes. For as good as his game was today, he was 0 for 4 from 3. He was 3 for 9 from the field. Brutal, yeah, but he had 4 offensive rebounds. He had 6 assists, no turnovers. Like, he did a lot of the little things. He played good defense. But that's the type of guy that teams, if he's sitting out there on the 3-point line, they can trap Denny and send his guy to the big man to try and take that away. And if the pass ends up in Chris Murray's hands, you kind of live with him shooting threes, because, I think all 4 threes were wide open threes for him today, and he's shooting under 28% on the year. That's the problem. For some of the good things that Chris Murray does, that's the problem with him, I think, in a playoff series, is teams will game plan that way. And it makes it tough to put Chris Murray out there if teams can game plan against his lack of shooting. Especially if he's not going to cut. I think some of those open corner threes, he can maybe cut and get layups out of them. But he sits in the corner and then bricks a lot of threes, unfortunately. So some of the beating the coverage that Denny sees, some of it's roster instruction, some of it's just, executing, moving the ball fast, flipping the angle, that sort of stuff. But there's some good moments tonight of it. Still a work in progress. Still something that I think when you have Damian Lillard out there on the floor and, if Denny's getting screened and swinging it to Dame, and then Dame's either has a shot or can attack a closeout or can make that pass to the big, that's where, you have Drew out there. He can spot up, catch and shoot threes, right? Like, that's where the offense can get very, very scary for opposing teams. But even a guy like Scoot out there, we'll talk about him next. He finished with 15 points. He was 5 for 14, but he was 3 for 6 from 3. So not the best game inside the arc, but the 3-point shooting, he had a couple nice catch-and-shoot threes in this game. Did have 4 turnovers, 2 assists, so it wasn't the best Scoot game, but he looked like, I don't know, outside of some moments, he looked calm, if that makes sense. He had that buzzer beater 3 to end the third quarter. So it wasn't the most efficient game from him, and he did have some sloppy moments, but the 3-point shooting looked good. He still needs to do a better job of kind of picking his shots inside the arc. I thought there was a couple that he got fouled on, he didn't get calls on, including that little like turn around, the guy walked under him, he didn't get that call. Like I said, the refs were letting a lot go in this game. But he's starting. Would like to see him have, make a couple more shots, and we're talking about a 7 for 14 night instead, because he has been having good games against a lot of bottom feeders. But I don't think it was a particularly bad game from him. He did some good things in this game, in my opinion.
Yeah, it was kind of good and bad. Obviously, you'll take the 3-point shooting. 3 for 6, we'll take that all day. Man, he's really struggling around the basket to finish lay-ins. And I felt like he made the wrong decision on that fast break to shoot it. Luckily, Drew was there, but
I think that fast break, the defender was a little bit behind him. You got Drew running with you and nobody around him. You just get the ball up on the glass. You get the guy to commit for the layup. If you miss the layup, Drew's there to clean it up.
Yeah, but you also then have to make that lay-in. That's pretty easy lay-in, in my opinion.
Yeah, he didn't have to. Drew cleaned it up. Like that's one of those. That's one of those situations where, and you see this on drives where the help guy rotates over and the guy misses a layup, but he gets the ball up on the rim, and then since the big committed to blocking the shot, just getting the ball on the rim, the big's there to clean it up, right? And it's a missed shot. Yeah, I would like to make that shot, not leave it up to chance on a rebound, but you got a guy kind of trailing with you, but you have to rush it to the rim, and he's committing to blocking your shot, and you got a second guy like trailing the play, nobody around him, like can't really pass back to him because the defender's behind you. That was one of those plays where like, just get on the backboard. Drew's there to clean it up. Like I thought it was fine. Would like to see him elevate on that play. Like there's times where he tries to rush the ball to the backboard to the rim where he's not elevating like what we saw in the G League. Like I don't know. There's just plays where when he's in open space, he can rise up and he can jump. But when he's full speed, he seems to struggle to get off the floor vertically at times. And I think that layup was one of those where it's like I don't know. I've seen him jump high enough where he could have dunked that, but he's not jumping high enough on that play, There
was also one in the first half where he drove down the middle and it like completely cleared for him. And I forgot who the help defender was, but someone came over to protect the rim, but I felt like he could have attacked the rim there, and he ended up like kicking out to the corner, and I think it was Chris Murray bricked a 3 off of it or something like that. It might have been City, but like, yeah, that was one of those situations where I felt like he had the angle, he had the momentum downhill to just go right at him, and I felt like he should have attacked there. Some of the other ones, I felt like, I don't know, he's just not doing a good job of finishing right now.
Yeah. Anything else on Scoot?
No, I thought his hustle was okay today. Yeah. I got distracted by a stupid comment from Snaggy.
So I got distracted by chat as well. This is why I was locked in for the most part of the stream,
Yeah.
And then chat out here, always ready to derail us. We got Zach in the chat. Whoa, he's hiding comments. Okay, what's up, Zach?
Don't need to be hidden.
Yeah.
And then say, "Oops."
Yeah. Well, there we go. That's fixed. I
can't override a mod.
Yeah. Well, Yeah, I fixed it. Anyway, Tamani had a great start to this game. I think he had 15 and a half, finished with 17. So this was one of those games where he was 3 for 5 from 3. He goes super cold in the second half. But I thought defensively, his effort in this game, I think this was one of his better defensive games of the season. I don't know if you share that opinion, but got off to a hot start, helped the Blazers get the lead. Didn't really do much offensively to help them keep it, but, he got them there, and then other guys stepped up. Scoot hit a couple big shots in that third quarter to stave off the Clippers' run. Drew, of course, hit a bunch of big shots. Denny was good pretty much throughout most of the game. So, yeah.
Yeah, Tamani, there was a stretch where it was like, oh, man, he's playing with some fire. He's playing like, I don't want to say star, but like he was playing like he felt like he was one of the better players on the court, and that was cool to see. And then, I don't know why it's so like drastically different within the course of one game, but then it felt like his confidence got rattled there in the second half, and he just wasn't shooting the ball with the same confidence, or not. Didn't get a ton of shots, period, I guess, in that second half.
He's very rhythm-based. He's very rhythm-based with his shooting. You can tell by like some of his footwork with the way he'll dribble into shots, as well as just how kind of streaky he is from game to game. Sometimes multiple game stretches, he shoots really well, shoots really poorly, which of course is always going to happen. I mean, a lot of players are that way, but he feels a little bit more like rhythm-based than your normal player in terms of his jump shot. And we've seen it this year where he comes out first half, has rhythm, shoots super, super well in the second half, like can't make a three. It's very up and down with him.
Yeah. At least they had a corner three, right?
Yeah, that was cool. I don't know what he shot there today, but yeah. What'd you think of the defense though?
It was pretty good overall, especially compared to how it's been at times this season. I still don't like the over aggressive and then flopping a little bit sometimes, but yeah, overall I thought this was better than some of his other games on the defensive end, at least.
I see a lot of talk about Tom Dundon. We'll talk about Tom Dundon at the end of the stream. We'll talk about him for sure. I see you guys talking about a Jason Quick article. I haven't read it, but I'll see if I can. Oh, I think I found it. Yeah, I did find it. Okay, cool. Yeah, I can read off that article later if you guys want, and give our thoughts on the sale finally being official. It's the first day of the Tom Dundon era. Anyway, Donkey just trolls all stream. I know that's who you're sighing at, Eric, but yeah, like nothing he says is serious. I mean, his name is literally Donkey. So, and he has a Draymond Green profile picture. So, I think that says it all. The fifth starter for the Blazers, Donovan Clingan, probably one of his worst games this season. He was a minus 12 in a game the Blazers won by 10. So in the 19 minutes with him off the floor, the Blazers outscored the Clippers by 22 points. He was 2 for 5 from the field, 0 for 2 from 3, 4 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist. 4 rebounds in 29 minutes is wild for Clingan. That's wildly low. Had a block, had a steal, had 3 fouls. I thought he had more fouls than that. What'd you think of his game today? Because it seemed like he was pretty neutralized in this one.
Yeah, he was rough. I mean, the thing is, a lot of people are pointing to it only having 4 rebounds, and that is low for him. I'm not going to make excuses for that, but I mean, the Blazers did completely dominate the rebounds, so it's not like he was messing up on the defensive end and getting outworked for rebounds or something like that. So That's going to be the problem with certain lineups. If Donovan has to play out a little bit or contest those Kawhi 15-foot jump shots, or go out on 3-point shooters like Brook, um, he's not going to be around the glass for rebounds, and so I don't really. If the Blazers would have, if the rebounding would have been flipped and the Blazers got dominated on the boards, 48-30 or whatever it was, then I'd be a lot more worried about it. But we got plenty of rebounds, and then on the offensive end, and for offensive rebounds, he only has 2, but man, you could tell that the Clippers' game plan was to not only let him get offensive rebounds, but they didn't really want him shooting threes either. And it was kind of interesting to see the way they played him. And I do think the way they played him kind of opened it up for some other players like Chris Murray to attack the boards, Tamani to attack the boards and get some, because so much of their defensive rebounding attention was focused on clearing out Klingon off the boards. And so I do think he had somewhat of an impact, kind of an understated impact. But yeah, obviously these kind of games from him aren't great if we're going to make a run here.
Yeah. Well said. Also, I replied to stuff in chat. If you're worried about the interview, we'll read it. But if you're worried about the interview, just read those comments. That's what it is. Anyway, Chris Murray off the bench. Yeah, we've talked about him. 7 rebounds, 6 assists, no turnovers. Was 3, 4, 5 inside the arc. 0 for 4 from 3. I mean, he still can't shoot, but everything else was really good in this game. He was a plus 19. Played 31 minutes. Had a really nice finish in traffic. Was mixing it up, battling for offensive rebounds. 6 assists as well. Really solid game from him.
Yeah, he had a couple. Only 3 baskets, but they were pretty big baskets, including that one in the fourth quarter put back. So yeah, I think you're just gonna have to live with that. Hopefully, he's not in a position to take 4 threes. But yeah, he did so many other good things in this game. It's hard to focus on the shooting because what a great game from him, and 31 minutes too is crazy. But yeah, shout out to him, man. He you could even though Drew and Denny obviously had the best games, you could say, I don't know if we hold off the Clippers without some of those big rebounds he got.
Yeah. Robert Williams, 18 minutes, 6 points, plus 22, 7 rebounds. Didn't really do a whole lot statistically in this game, but I thought the defense from him was good. Blazers did much better with him in the game than they did with Klingon. What were your thoughts?
I thought Robbo was awesome tonight. Yeah, just I still every time he plays well, I'm just like, man, if only he could play more often. But yeah, it's I thought he was pretty good outside of the hanging on the rim on that one dunk attempt. But yeah, I just thought he did a really good job of he's just got like a tempo to his game that's like it fits in well, and the ball doesn't like stick to him ever, and he does a really good job of just making the right pass and stuff like that. Not necessarily like for an assist. I'm just talking about like within the flow of the offense. He's just really good about knowing where to go with it, and man, I just think he's playing really good right now.
Agreed. Yeah, and happy that the injury it seemed like he suffered wasn't an issue at all, considering he's back and playing. So getting a healthy season out of Robert Williams was not on my bingo card this season, but with all the other injuries, I'm happy that he's somehow managed to stay healthy. Matisse Thybulle, 24 minutes, 5 points, 2 for 5 from the field, 1 for 4 from 3. Had 3 steals in this game, was a +7. I'm happy that they're playing him minutes that are not going to City Sissoko. He, I think, is literally better at the things needed for that role than City Sissoko is, and that is knocking down threes and playing defense without committing a million fouls in 2 minutes. So really, really good job by Thybulle tonight. I think lately in the defensive numbers back this up, the Blazers have been a much better defensive team with him on the floor. And I've lamented at times during his Blazer tenure how he gets out of position because he's chasing too many steals, and he still has those moments, but I do think it's been a bit better lately. He's been a bit more solid than times earlier in his Blazer tenure where he was just all over the place defensively and always out of position. And if he wasn't getting a steal, he was basically watching the play with his back to half court from the 3-point line as this guy attacks. That sort of stuff drove me crazy. But I honestly have enjoyed Thybulle's minutes lately. He goes 1 for 4 from 3 today. He's shooting 40% on the season, though. He was 2 for 3 last game. Like, he's been reliable enough from 3. In the month of March, shot 36% on about 3 attempts per game in 16 minutes. So it's been a good enough 3-point shooter. He's been consistent. And I think that's the one thing you can't really say for City Sissoko with his 3-point shot. And then the defense is certainly better than Sissoko's. I thought Thybulle had some good on-the-ball moments in this game. We kind of know him as the off-ball guy that gets a lot of deflections, plays the passing lanes, etc. But I think he had some good on-ball moments in this one as well. So I've been honestly enjoying the Thybulle minutes lately.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to with the other options on the bench, but I mean, we'll get to Sissoko's play in a minute, but there's 2 things with Thybulle on defense. One is Portland struggled the last few years with just getting back on defense. Like, it seems so simple, but he does such a good job of hustling back and like deflecting a pass or making it so the other team can't pass ahead. And so that is one thing. It's so underappreciated, but like with Thybulle, you can definitely tell the difference when he's on the court. The other team can't get the ball down as quickly. And then you mentioned the stunting from a pass away, and Thybulle might be perfect at that role. So having him in the game, if against a stretch center, if Donovan's going to stay back and we're going to need that guy to run out on that shooter, I can't think of a better option than Thybulle in that role. So if the Blazers are going to play that defense that way, Thybulle might fit in really well with that style.
Yeah, agreed. I really want to read this Dundon article because there's a lot of talking chat right now. Caleb Love, Blake Wesley played 1 minute garbage time. City Sissoko 9 minutes, 0 for 2 from the field, over 1 for 3, picked up 1 foul, had 1 assist, 1 rebound. Was +8 in 9 minutes. I guess that's good. Didn't really do much. And that was the performances from this game.
I just have to mention with Sissoko, did you notice what happened? Comes in the game, we're in the penalty. He makes a stupid foul in the backcourt like a minute into him coming to the game. And yeah, thanks. They get free throws.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add to this recap?
No, good game. Yeah, I mean, obviously the Dundon stuff is very prominent right now with him taking control of the team. He's got a press conference on Thursday that we can talk about after hopefully the Blazers beat the Pelicans. But yeah, I'm ready to get into it if you are.
Yeah. I we're going to have to talk about the renovations and stuff. Apparently there's something in this article that people were like freaking out about, and yeah, chat's kind of driving me crazy with it. So I'm just going to read this whole article, okay? So bear with me. If you've read the article, feel free to give me your thoughts in the chat. But it's by Jason Quick. It's from The Athletic. And it's not behind a paywall. So that's cool. I'll read the whole thing because it's free public information. So Jason Quick says, Tom Dundon's first day as owner of the Portland Trailblazers came with a simple message to his players. The standard is changing. In a short meeting with his team inside Intuit Dome before Tuesday's game against the Clippers, Dundon told players he appreciates what they do, but he expects more. Quote, right now, where we are isn't where I think we can be, Dundon told the team. Okay, sorry, hold on. So he goes to talks to the players and said this isn't good enough, and then they come out and have their best performance in months? Okay. Did he tell them what Tiago hasn't told him, that this isn't good enough? Because we hear Tiago talking about the offense, acting like it's performing well when they're turning over the ball 20 times a game. I don't know, but I like it. I don't know what do you feel about that? There's already something to react to there. That's interesting, you know?
I do feel like that's a little over the top, coming in and doing that right away, like before a game on the road. Like, who is this guy? Like, I know you're the new owner, but I mean, we've talked about this several times, the complacency always setting in when it comes to the Blazers. It's been happening for going on a decade and a half plus now. So to me, if you want to set that tone and say we're not going to be complacent anymore, that's not good enough. It's not good enough to think your offense is doing good when you just beat the Nets, you know, like that's not good enough. So the more from the top we want things to be better, or always thinking of ways to improve them, the better, I think.
Yeah, you guys know me. I've always lamented the settling for mediocrity and acting like it's better than what it actually is. This dude is not that type of guy. That start of that article is a perfect example. So I'm with it. I like it. The article continues, Dundon, who also owns the NHL's Carolina Hurricanes, is known as a demanding and calculated owner who relies on analytics and gut feelings since taking over in Carolina. The Hurricanes have made the playoffs in 7 consecutive seasons and made the Eastern Conference Final 3 times. This season, Carolina is tied for first in the East. Dundon takes over a franchise that hasn't made the playoffs since 2021 and has had dwindling attendance since the rebuild started in 2022. Yeah, you know, I talk about the atmosphere in Moda not being what it used to be. Hopefully that changes. In the minutes before the Blazers tipped off against the Clippers, Dundon gave an exclusive interview to The Athletic, touching on his vision for the franchise, the unease of employees fearing for their jobs, and the future of the Blazers in Portland amid their quest to secure public funding for $600 million in renovations to the Moda Center. Here's a portion of Tuesday's Q&A with Dundon, and has a note, this conversation has been lightly edited for clarity and length. Quick asks, describe your first day. Dundon says, today was more just seeing what their process is on game day and meeting a bunch of people. I don't know that we did anything super useful other than kind of absorb the information and just try to find the places where there's the opportunity to get better, right? You've got to see how they do it today before you have an opinion on what ideas we can bring up to see if they want to consider things that could give us an advantage in the future. Feel free to stop me at any time if you want to touch upon any of this, Eric.
Okay.
Quick asks, what was your message to the team? Dundon says, it's very short, and it was just one, I appreciate what they do. They're the product. They made it to the NBA, so it's very impressive. But right now, where we are isn't where I think we can be, and it's more about maybe increasing the standards, increasing the commitment to excellence, and increasing the intensity. Things that I think everybody says, things everybody wants to do. Now, doing it and expecting to do it and every day getting better, that is not a debate with me. It is going to happen. It always happens when I show up, and we're going to do it. I think they want it too.
Nice.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. That's the attitude I've been asking for, man. That's the attitude I've been asking for. Quick asks, which is a great follow-up question, how do you do that? Dundon says, I don't know how to explain it because it just is. Like, I can't accept it any other way, you know? For me, it's not a choice. It's like, whatever we're doing, we're trying to do better, and you just keep going and going. I'm just obsessed with trying to find a way to get better. I can't handle losing. I can't handle thinking something could be done better. And if you get all the players and the coaches and the staff, everybody thinking that way, you should get better. Now, see, like, here's the thing. If it was a first-time owner, it's like, yeah, great in theory. He's done this with the Carolina Hurricanes, you know?
Yeah.
So there's a track.
Coming in and saying all these things and not being able to actually do it.
Yeah, you know, like if it was something like that, I'd be like, okay, yeah, it's easier said than done. But he's done it. He's literally done it. He continues to say, and I think the organization the last couple of years has been in a different place than they are now, where now it's starting to build. Now we've got to get past those old habits that maybe weren't as focused on the best outcomes, so pushing people past what they think is possible and then doing it again and again and again. I don't know. I just do it. All about that action. He didn't actually say that. I said that. Quick asks, I think there's a general unease among employees worrying you are going to come in and make sweeping changes. Dundon says, I mean, everybody who's not thinking like that every day, like regardless if there's new ownership, if you don't wake up fighting for your job, fighting for your spot, then that mindset is probably not very good anyway. So if it takes this for people to think like that, then that's fine. But I want people thinking about the future. But I want people thinking about the future and not worrying about what I'm going to do. They need to worry about what they're going to do. But I don't like getting rid of people. I like to see who's capable of taking that next step. So I'm not looking to get rid of people. I'm looking to get better. Quick says, still, you will have a couple of high-profile decisions to make a head coach and general manager. How soon will you come to those decisions? Dundon says, I don't know. Like, I'd need to acquire information. It would be hard for me to have an opinion about anything other than the level of intensity that I want. I have expectations that are probably higher than most people are used to, especially around here. And so I think that's where I'm starting with, is getting through to everybody what I like, what my expectations are, and then you got to see if people can match that. And that'll tell you more than me just guessing who can or can't. Do you have thoughts on that in regards to his answer about the decisions he has to make regarding the coach and GM?
Yeah, obviously he's not going to come out and say, oh, they're both safe or they're both gone. Yeah, I don't mind that answer at all.
Alrighty, and then Quick says, some people are fearful you will move the team out of Portland. Can you offer any assurances that you won't? Dundon says, we haven't spent any time on that. Team president Dwayne Hankins and the team have spent all their time trying to figure out how to renovate Moda Center. Anything that people write or say is just made up because nobody has spent any time on that. I fully expect to get everything we're working on done. That's all we can really do is work on that. Quick asks, why won't you put any money into the arena?
Wow, really?
Yeah. Dundon says, well, so the way the arena deal will work is we're going to commit to be here for a long term, 20 years, and that commitment's worth way more than anything else anybody's going to do. Quick says...
I mean, it's not wrong.
Yeah, Quick says 20 years is pretty standard, though. Dundon says, I don't think so in terms of the market. Quick says, so you think 20 years is enough currency, so to speak? Dundon says, 20 years, that's a lot. Quick says, historically, other owners have committed years and put in money, and Dundon says, in Portland?
Wait, can you repeat that?
So this whole thing, basically, Quick says, 20 years is pretty standard, though, and Dundon says, I don't think so in terms of the market. Quick says, so you think 20 years is enough currency, so to speak. Dundon says, 20 years, that's a lot. Quick says, historically, other owners have committed years and put in money, ... and then Dundon seems to have cut him off and said, in Portland? Yeah. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, it's hard to read that. We know behind the scenes no matter what he says, he's been pushing for this renovation thing, money to be set aside for that. And I mean, I've had some pretty pointed words about how that situation sucks for us fans, but coming from his perspective, I understand it. And I mean, almost anyone would do the same in his shoes. If you don't have to put up your own money, why would you? And on top of that, see, a lot of people think it's coming from a position of like, oh, you better do this for me or I'm moving. But it could simply be, you better do this for me because I don't have a lot of money to do it myself. So I kind of need you guys to help me with this. And then but he can't say that. So, it might be a little bit difficult. But I don't know. I kind of appreciate that he's not trying to say that he's gonna or promise something he's not gonna deliver on either. He's not committing to anything. So at least he's somewhat being honest there. A little bit of a shot at the old owner, maybe.
Oh, I was muted.
You're muted.
I was muted. This is exactly what I've said for a while now, and it's very, very simple, actually. Renovations go through, Blazers stay, 20-year lease. On top of what runs through 2030, I assume, so through 2050. I assume we get tacked on to the end of that, right? But renovations get put through, they stay. Renovations don't get put through, and then we have to legitimately worry. So far, everything in regards to funding renovations has been positive. They've already put through legislature to fund large portions of the renovation. There's still work to be done, but my big worry at one time was like, okay, can you get some of this stuff through the state legislature? It's one thing for local Portland politicians to put something through, right? They're from Portland. They know how important the Blazers are to Portland, and how important the Moda Center is to Portland, from a cultural standpoint, economic standpoint, etc. But getting it put through state legislature is a little bit different because you have representatives from across the entire state. They put stuff through state legislative very easily. Yeah. It was much easier than I thought it was going to be. So I'm not worried at all about this team moving. And anybody that comes in here like, see, told you had to worry about the Blazers moving. Did you see his comment where he said in Portland? Like, that's just somebody that's not paying any attention to what's actually happening and is just coming here trying to rile people afraid, right? Those people need to actually educate themselves a little bit or just listen to us because we've talked about what's going on here with the situation. They still have a little bit more to fund, but they've made some good headway, and it's as simple as they get the push through, the team's staying.
Why didn't Quick say, yeah, it has happened in Portland? Paul Allen, basically paid for the entire Moda Center.
Yeah, well, maybe somebody needs to educate Tom Dundon on who Paul Allen was. But, yeah, like, here's the thing, too.
Yeah, in Portland, Tom.
Yeah. Here's the thing, though. Like, he's not going to sit here and be like, oh, I'm going to keep the team here no matter what. He wants it to sound like, oh, if this doesn't get through, if the renovations don't get funded by the state government, there could be issues. Because that's his leverage. That's literally how he will get them to fund the renovations, and it's already working. So anybody that reads into that as, oh man, we need to be seriously scared because look at his attitude. He doesn't want to keep the team here. No, he wants arena renovations. And acting like, and this may be true too, but like having the attitude of, if this doesn't get funded, there might be some issues, like that's how he can leverage the government into funding this. So Some people just see stuff on the surface and react to stuff on the surface without thinking about why.
Well, also, I mean, I think, there's a lot of fear mongering that goes on, that people think he's buying the team, wanting to move it, and just waiting for us to mess up so he can move it. I don't think that's the case at all, nor do I think that the NBA would approve an owner that came in thinking that way. Now, he could be hiding those intentions, sure. But like, it would be not only a pain in the butt to like move a team, especially one that's as beloved as Portland in their city, but I don't think many people set out like, oh, just give me one reason to be the bad guy. Like, I don't think he wants to be the bad guy. I think he wants to make it work here in Portland, and I think he's as a businessman, I think he's being smart. That I think he's being smart that, you know, he has us. Yeah, he can get the money. He can get whatever money he wants because Portland doesn't want to lose their team, and he's going to get the money. And so, I mean, yeah, it sucks that he can't just do it himself, but he's going to he's going to get it approved, and it's fine. And that's like I said, as a businessman that doesn't have a lot of money, he's doing the right thing. And I just have to say this too. The OKC thing, that is exactly why it won't happen the same way as the OKC thing. I mean, everyone in the NBA, owners, Adam Silver, everyone involved in that process agrees that the NBA made a mistake to rip the team from Seattle, and that if it came to that happening again, that they would do everything that it would take to keep a team, especially a beloved team, a team with a rich history of fan support, and not necessarily championships, but we had one of the longest playoff streaks for a long time and all that kind of stuff. So I think people are looking at it from the perspective of, oh, everyone wants to move the team out of Portland. And I don't think that's the case. I think most people involved, including Tom, are fine with it working out here.
Here's the thing, dude. I hate the OKC comparisons right now because of what's happened in terms of getting funding approved.
Mm-hmm.
And it just, anybody that's saying, like, the Sonics moved to OKC, directly applying it to the situation with the Blazers is paying no attention to what's happening. And it's just completely clueless. So Howard Schultz was the old owner of the Seattle Supersonics. He tried to get Washington state government to provide $220 million in public funding. Now, this was back, in 2000 and
different times.
2007, right? So inflation, blah blah blah, whatever. Failed. Okay, the new owners came in, said they wanted $500 million. That didn't get passed. Obviously, it wasn't going to get passed because $220 million didn't get passed. So they came in and asked for more than twice that, knowing it wasn't going to get passed. And it was led by a guy who's from OKC. The guy that purchased the team is from OKC. Clay Bennett comes in, immediately asks for something that less than half of that already failed to get put through. So he literally came in basically with the intent to fully move the team. Dundon comes in, says he wants $600 million for arena renovations. He's owned the team for, 24 hours? The Oregon government has already approved $365 million. Completely different situations.
Yeah.
So to sit here and just act like it's the same thing is completely ridiculous. You just don't. Anybody doing that has no idea what they're talking about. Before this stuff got approved, you could look at OKC like, yeah, Clay Bennett came in, said he wanted to keep the team there, but it was kind of lying through his teeth. And maybe Tom Dundon's the same way. And the Blazers, if they fail to get funding, like, yeah, it could go the same route. But they've already made a lot of positive headway with the funding, so that's why it's not comparable. You could have maybe compared situations. I mean, I compared the two situations before funding got approved. Some funding got approved because there's a lot of people like taking Tom Dundon at his word, and it's like, okay, well, Clay Bennett should have taken him as his word. But the whole basis for that was they couldn't get any funding to update Key Arena. They're already getting funding to renovate Moda Center. So, yeah, it's getting really, really annoying. Dundon is from Raleigh. They have the Charlotte Hornets. No NBA team is moving to freaking Raleigh. He's also not even from Raleigh. He's from Texas, dude. He's not from Raleigh. You have no idea what you're talking about, brother. If you keep peddling misinformation, we're going to have to lay down the banhammer because you just have no idea what you're talking about. No idea what you're talking about. So anyway, nobody should be alarmed. Nobody should be worried about this. I said before funding got approved that, yeah, it's very valid to worry a little bit, and I was a little bit worried. But at this point, I don't think anybody should be worrying about this team getting moved. So
yeah, someone was saying, or Artelli is saying, I think some people may have stayed back because the league is dangling the expansion teams that are more attractive, but I'm sure Portland had plenty of suitors beyond Dundon. Well, here's the problem with the expansion teams. They're talking about $7 to $10 billion just to get the rights to them. So, like, that's a lot of money. Dundon wouldn't have been able to afford that. He barely was able to afford the Blazers. So, paying $4.25 billion or whatever it ended up being for the Blazers is a lot better than paying $7 to $10 billion for an expansion team, no matter how nice it would be to start from scratch.
Yeah. Anyway. If you're watching and like, oh man, Tori's mad. Yeah, it makes me mad when people come in here and just peddle complete nonsense and don't listen and are uneducated. It's really annoying. And then those are the people. It's like if you're in here peddling complete misinformation, dude. Like that's the type of stuff where it's like, I don't want you in my chat if you're going to peddle complete misinformation. It's not because I disagree with your opinion. The problem is you're factually wrong. You're factually wrong, and then you say stuff that is just completely asinine, like Honolulu has a higher GDP than Portland. Who freaking cares? Honolulu isn't getting a team and would not be better for an NBA team than Portland. So, yeah, you got to chill with that sort of stuff or we can wave goodbye and relocate you. We'll relocate you. But that's what I'm going to start calling it. Relocation. Out of our chat.
And I know people are going to downplay this, but I still believe that NBA messed up by moving the Sonics. And I still feel like that hurt a huge fan base, the Seattle market. Now, some of those people obviously still like are NBA fans and stuff like that. But, these sports leagues can't afford to just like kill millions of people of their audience, and so I don't know, like I find it hard to believe that they would right now just screw over Portland after already screwing over Seattle, no matter how Seattle getting their team back or whatever obviously alleviates a little bit of that, but I don't think
the only way it would happen is if like they failed to get renovation funding over the next 5 years. That's the only way that would become a possibility. The league would prefer.
Like pretty much they already didn't fail. So
Yeah. I mean, still some work to be done, but they have more than 50% of it. The league would prefer to keep the team in Portland, but like if they're in a stadium that needs renovations and local areas refusing to renovate, that's when maybe that door would open. But that's not the signs that we're getting at all. So yeah, like the NBA is just going to let them. Oh, Portland's willing to renovate Moda Center and make it one of the top arenas in the league. Nah, we're going to let him relocate, even though this is what the owner wanted. He just wants renovations. So, like, there is a reality in a different universe. I don't think this is really realistic, but there is a reality where stuff doesn't get funded. And, then 5 years from now, it's like, okay, we tried to get renovations for years, didn't get any. Like, then maybe it opens up the NBA after bringing Seattle back to open up that possibility. But, like, that's not the path they're currently going down. That's not a realistic outcome at this point. So, anyway. Oh, I forgot to read the last part of this. Is there a message you want to deliver to fans, Tom Dundon? Dundon says, I'm more like, we just got to do it, so you don't really have to tell stories. Stories such as, we just missed shots. No, he didn't say that. I'm more like, we just got to do it, so you don't really have to tell stories. You should be able to notice. The team improves and things get better. Hopefully we'll get people in and out of the arena faster. That's something I want, because it takes too long. The food's better. Hopefully the experience is better. And when you go, we win more and you can see the difference in the product and how we play. I don't think I'm supposed to promise people this or that because I can't predict the future. I just know that the expectation should be high across the board. And that's the end of the article. I will say I love his mindset and I love his attitude. And we've seen it work for the Carolina Hurricanes. And I am excited to see the impact that it has on this Portland Trail Blazers franchise.
Yeah, Cuban was praising his mindset too. So
yeah. John says, I lived in Seattle all the time. Key Arena had been renovated and called a model for other teams. Then Bennett wanted to build a new arena in Renton, and that pissed everyone off. Eric,
that's not true. I went to the last game in Key Arena. It was the biggest pile of dump I've ever been to. I could not believe they actually played NBA games in that arena. It was disgusting. I mean, a lot of that was because they already knew they were moving, but that arena was falling apart and needed a ton of work.
That's what I remember being said, but I was 11 years old, so I don't remember. But yeah, that's.
And for the record, Moda Center is nowhere close to that. I mean, we can talk about the aesthetics and the experience or whatever, but it's still in tremendously good shape. And just in terms of being a suitable arena, that place was not a suitable arena for an NBA team, Key Arena.
Yeah. I don't know.
I'm not saying Moda doesn't need a renovation. Yes, of course, it probably does. I'm just saying it's not. Moda Center is not to the point where, man, we cannot have NBA games here anymore. Like Key Arena was. Like it was. Something needed to be done.
Yeah, like who was calling Key Arena a model for other teams at that point in time? If you have a source, I'll read it, but for everything that I read, it was the opposite.
Yeah, I mean, there was a point where, I mean, Key Arena had been renovated like way prior to that, and now has been again for the hockey team and stuff. And it's supposedly super nice now.
Yeah.
But that was long after they got rid of the Sonics. So.
Yep. People just, I don't know why people love to fearmonger about this stuff. Like, I there's a point in time where I was a little bit worried about the feasibility of getting stuff past state legislature. And I shared that with you guys, right? And it wasn't like, I want to make you guys scared. I don't want you guys to worry about the team moving. But like, just being honest with the situation and what it was. The situation has progressed in a positive way. I'm no longer worried. I don't know why some people get off on I don't know why people get off on trying to make other people worried about losing their favorite team. It's very, very weird to me. It's very, very strange. And it's kind of lame. But some people just seem to love fear-mongering and making people worried and like try to have get an emotional reaction from people, try to invoke emotions for people. And the people that come in here and chat spewing nonsense, misinformation, and fear-mongering in that way, they're those types of people. I don't know why they do it, but it is what it is. We will never fear-monger we will never do that. Everything that I've ever said about this situation is my honest read on it. I go into details why, and it's educated. It's not BS. Anyway, but do you think Dundon's attitude is going to have a legitimate impact on this team? After hearing what you said, do you feel more or less like Cronin's and Thiago's jobs are safe?
I think I've said all along, I wouldn't be surprised if they got a year to kind of prove themselves or whatever, but just
He's been paying attention this year, though. Is this the year to prove themselves?
Maybe. I think the interim label for Thiago and not having a long-term contract, I think it's just too clean of a break with Dundon coming in. I've been very consistent with that. I'd be surprised if they didn't find a new coach this summer. But yeah, a Cronin I'm not sure about. I don't think this changes anything for me other than I think it was always going to be Cronin's going to have to do a lot of both ass kissing and job performance.
I don't think ass kissing is how you win with an owner like Tom Dundon.
Well, I just meant like he can't do the kick the can down the road type of thing, or like he can't. His press conference spiel can't be what he tells Tom Dundon, because he'll be like, "What the heck, dude? You said you were going to like make moves by the deadline, and now, or you said you were gonna push your chips in this summer, and then so like, do you have a plan or what?" Like, because he'll call him out on it. It feels like so. I don't feel like it's gonna work.
I don't think. The whole like Dame thing and the flip-flopping from Cronin and then the excuses for, why they couldn't trade the third pick and going from we need to get bigger and we need more veteran experience around Dame to Scoot's not your normal 19-year-old, Yeah, he's a point guard and Dame's a point guard. Like, I think a lot of the stuff from Cronin would not have flown under Tom Dundon. I don't think it would have.
Like, what are you doing, dude?
Yeah, like going back and forth in the way that he did early on in his tenure, I don't think Tom Dundon would have liked that, because you heard him talk. It's the highest standard, basically not selling for mediocrity. The mindset that I've talked about has been an issue with a lot of this organization. I don't know. Like, part of me feels like Cronin doesn't necessarily have the right temperament for Tom Dundon. But I have no idea. Like, I don't see things behind the scenes. I see things publicly.
Might just be wishful thinking.
I don't even know if that's what I wish. But, like, Dundon seems to me like he wants go-getters that are, very confident and results driven and don't settle. I've never really gotten that vibe from Cronin. So it's just, I don't know if this is even what I believe. I don't know. Part of me feels like I'm overthinking that. Part of me feels like maybe that's a thing. I don't know. It's speculation. But I could see him looking at Cronin. Cronin's been the GM here for 51 months. In those 51 months, his biggest achievement is right now they are 39-38.
Yeah.
He took a team that was up to that point winning basketball games and turned them into a perennial loser. If you look at the downfall of the Portland Trail Blazers and the dwindling attendance and all that sort of stuff, it coincides with Cronin taking over as general manager. Whether that's fair or completely unfair to Joe Cronin, right? Like, a lot of fans wanted a rebuild, and he kicked off a rebuild. Like, that might have been the right thing to do. But from a factual standpoint, for a new owner coming in, you look at the results of the last 5 years. And from a guy that wants excellence, 5 years and now you're mediocre. 5 years just to get to mediocrity. And it's like a celebration. It's like a good thing to be mediocre after 5 years. That's not the way this guy seems to. That's not the way this guy seems to think. So, and he's been paying attention to the team. I mean, he's smart. You have a team that's shooting the fourth most threes and like the second worst 3-point percentage in the league. There's an issue somewhere with that. Okay, the coaching staff wants 3-point shooting to be an emphasis. They need to be on the same page with the general manager and get enough 3-point shooting where it justifies them taking the fourth most threes in the league. They have such a bad shooting team, they shoot so many threes. It's either, okay, you want to blame the coaching staff for not having the right game plan for their roster for the season, or do you want to blame the general manager for not putting together a roster that fits what the coaching staff wants to do? Either way, something like that is, the math does not add up on that at all. At all. And that's been an issue, and a lot of things that have been issues still are issues this year. So I wonder how he's going to view that. And he's been paying attention to this team. And it's a breath of fresh air to hear, cool, this is where we're at, but I think we can do much better. Mm-hmm. We're sitting here like, yay, this is the latest in the season. We've been above 500 since 2021. That's like the feeling. And he's sitting here like, okay, cool, we need to be even better in that. It's a completely fresh outlook on this organization, on this team. And
yeah,
I would not be surprised if both Cronin and Thiago are gone. Even if they play here's the thing. Under previous ownership, they play their way into the 8th seed and then get swept by the OKC Thunder. It'd be extensions for everybody. We got the 8th seed. I mean, they got extensions last year because they went 36-46 and almost got the 10th seed and got 11th, right? So, it'd be a celebration. Under Dundon, I could see him cleaning house after the team oh man, they win a playing game, they get the 7th or the 8th seed, and then they lose in 4 or 5 in the first round and aren't very competitive, and Dundon's like, okay, not good enough, I think we can hire somebody better. And I think it might piss off a lot of fans because Blazer fans have low standards, but it's time to begin having higher standards.
I would pay to hear Dundon's honest thoughts about Cronin and Billups getting extensions last summer.
Yeah. He would not have done it. He would not have done it. I don't think those guys would have still been here, maybe. At least Chauncey. I think maybe Cronin, if you start a rebuild, you want to give a GM some leash so he can take his time and rebuild the right way. But, Chauncey's not going into a year 5?
But, Tori, this was going to be the first year you could actually coach.
Yeah. Guess what? Guess who's not buying that narrative? Tom Dundon. Because it's BS. It's an excuse. Oh, I've been here. This is my 5th year, and now finally I can do my job properly. That sort of attitude is an excuse. It's putting the blame on other people for not being able to do your job properly. It's not exactly what Chauncey said, but that's kind of the attitude from fans, media, the coaching staff. The tenor around this organization is going to change for the better. Does it actually lead to how much does it lead to results? Does it result in the Blazers being a contender? I don't know. Does it result in them being first round exits? I don't know. But I can take solace in the fact if they are first round exits, not just, hey, we made the playoffs and we had a competitive first round series and that's the feeling from the organization. No, it'll be like we lost in the playoffs. We lost in the first round. We need to go farther than that. Oh, we made the Western Conference Finals, but then we get swept by a team without KD and we led by double digits in 3 of the 4 games. We're not going to celebrate the fact that we just made the Western Conference Finals. We should be in the freaking NBA Finals. We should be better. How can we get better? What can we improve?
Well,
that's the attitude. I like that attitude.
Mm-hmm. We're going to trade down from 11 to 16, draft Young Hansen, and then not sign a single significant free agent.
Yeah.
Is that how you
they signed Dame,
okay. Dame lucked into their lap when they...
Yeah. I am so curious to see what this offseason looks like under Tom Dundon, man.
Yeah.
Every offseason I'm like, oh man, there's so much that can happen this offseason, so much to figure out, There's always storylines going into the offseason. Of course, there's storylines going into this offseason, but there's also the unknown factor we got somebody running this organization with a completely different attitude. That is super competitive, hates losing, and wants this organization to be greatly successful on the floor. How does that change the way they operate in the offseason? It really could.
Mm-hmm.
So what does that open the door for? Do they make a bad trade for a guy that's a win-now player but doesn't really fit and doesn't get the Blazers good enough? There's some traps that you can get into trying to improve the team. Do they fall into those traps? Or do they actually make good moves? And we can sit here and give them an A after the offseason and be like, man, they made a lot of great moves. It's the best offseason I've seen from this team. I don't know. It's complete unknown, which is super fun to me.
You also have to wonder, because this is one of the things that people didn't ever factor in with Olshey, and that's how much Paul Allen decisions and wanting of players or to sign certain players to extensions like in 2016, how much Paul gave a little bit of leeway to Olshey because that was him ultimately making some of those decisions for him. And so, if Dundon wants to bring in, I don't know, Trae Young or something, then you can't necessarily you can't necessarily blame Cronin then if Trae Young sucks and it's a horrible trade, So, how much does he... if he's going to be hands-on and stuff like that, how much does he then take ownership of that too? Literally.
Yeah. And he has a press conference Thursday. That is one more press conference than Jody Allen ever did. So that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. I mean, I like an owner willing to put himself in front of reporters and talk to fans and answer questions, that sort of thing. I hate that with Jody, it was we have this ghost as an owner that sometimes sits courtside, but nobody ever knows what she's ever thinking. And then Bert Cold secretly runs things. You're not going to have a Burt Cold secretly running things, you know?
No.
You're not going to have a ghost and a puppet and the puppet's in control, you know? It's going to be much better, I think, so. But yeah, I mean, Dundon's going to come in and look at the process and try and find ways to improve it. Like, some people don't like an owner that meddles, but I mean, he's been successful. He's a billionaire, and he's been successful with another organization, and he took him from the bottom of the NHL to the top. So he clearly knows. He's clearly smart. Like, he's clearly knows how to improve a organization. So, yeah, I'm super excited. I'm super excited. He talks to the team before the game, says a couple quick things, and then they play their best that they have in months. Like, immediate impact, I guess. You know?
Yeah.
But that should be this team's attitude. Like, not like, man, we could get the 8th seed. Like, that would be great. You know, we should be better than this. Like, we should have won more games this season. We're gonna go out and prove it. We're gonna go out and play our asses off. That attitude is what they played with tonight, and it won them a very important game. I mean, I did not expect this team to win this game coming into this game, especially by double digits. This was one of the most surprising results of the season.
Yeah, especially given our recent history against the Clippers.
Yeah. The Blazers are now... We'll take a look at the standings.
I'm going to bounce. Sorry, I got to get up in 3 hours. So
Okay.
thanks, everyone, for watching. Have a good night. I'll talk to you guys on Thursday.
Yep. We'll take a look at the standings then. Yeah, thank you, Eric. Late tip-off time. It's 12:43. Wow, I didn't realize. Okay. Tankathon. You guys can see I was... making sure I was educated when I was talking about OKC and Seattle and all that stuff. Because it's good to educate yourself. But here we go. Let's look at schedule coming up for Portland. There's 5 games left in the season, which is crazy. We got a home game against New Orleans. They're not tanking. They don't have their own pick. And they have been playing, if you look here, they were playing pretty well. They've lost their last 5, though. Like, that's a game Portland needs to win. Especially off the back of this Clippers defeat. You got New Orleans, then you got 3 days off. And then a couple tough games, Denver, San Antonio. We'll see if everybody's playing. And then you got that big matchup against the Clippers. My hope is going up against the Clippers in this game that they are within a game. What's the second tiebreaker? Can somebody tell me in the chat? I forget. Is it conference record, division record? Anyway, yay, a legit reason to relocate this person. Goodbye. Okay. Didn't Clippers mess up our draft or something back in 2021? Yeah, they lost to the Pelicans and we lost our pick. I think they said on the broadcast that we have it. We don't have it. We are down 2-1 in the head-to-head series. So there's a mod with some misinformation, Trevin. Yeah, look. Lost to the Clippers. Beat the Clippers. The second tiebreaker, we have it. Okay, but is it close enough? If we have the second tiebreaker, then if we're within a game, this game is basically for the 8th seed because you would think they beat Sacramento on the last day of the season at home. Like, if we lost the 8th seed that way, dude, Dundon might fire everybody. So if they're within a game here, then this game's for the 8th seed. If they're 2 games back. It's not so promising. This is the Clippers' schedule. They have one more game than us, but I mean, at Sacramento versus Dallas, those should both be easy wins. Although the versus Dallas thing, we should have freaking beat Dallas. But look at this. Versus San Antonio versus OKC. Portland has at Denver, at San Antonio. Portland needs to match the Clippers in the 2 games they have left. Clippers have one against San Antonio, one against OKC. Portland has one against San Antonio, one against Denver. If Portland can match the Clippers' record in those respective games and then take care of business against the Pelicans, assuming the Clippers take care of business against Sacramento and Dallas, then you're coming into this game where this game is for the 8th seed, effectively. I mean, even if the Clippers could lose against Dallas and then be, tied with Portland and win this game, and that would clinch the 8th seed. So, assuming Portland doesn't lose a game on the Clippers, if the Clippers win all 4 games, Portland has to win their next 3. If the Clippers go 2-2, the Blazers... Let me do the math here. If the Clippers go 2-2, the Blazers can go 1-2. The Blazers are a half game back. They can lose a half game. So if the Clippers go 3-1, I think that's maybe the most likely. Portland needs to beat New Orleans and then needs to beat one of Denver or San Antonio. But that'll be because the Clippers beat one of OKC or San Antonio, if that makes sense. So Portland will be rested coming into this game against Denver. Like, you want this 8th seed? Beat New Orleans, then win one of these Denver and San Antonio games. I don't think the Clippers are going to go 4-0 and beat both OKC and San Antonio. You'd have your shot here. A home game. Hopefully playoff atmosphere inside Moda Center. To beat the Clippers. You just beat them on the road. You are capable of beating this team. They are capable of getting the 8th seed. I am just praying that they don't screw this up, and I'm praying that it comes down to that game. So we can get a 7 versus 8 Suns-Blazers playing. The Suns are not playing good basketball lately. I feel like the Suns kind of overachieved a little bit this season. They've lost 7 out of their last 10. Some of these, they were injured. But tonight, they lost to Orlando. They had Devin Booker. They had Dillon Brooks. I mean, look at the starting lineup. Gillespie, Booker, Jalen Green, Dillon Brooks, Oso Iguodala. They didn't have Mark Williams, but man, that's a small lineup. They're playing Rasheer Fleming off the bench. He's having some good moments for them. But yeah, that's the matchup I want. Suns in the play-in. I think the Blazers could get I think the Blazers would have a legitimate chance to win that game if they're able to beat the Clippers twice to end the season. If they're playing that well as they did tonight, they could go into Phoenix and win that game and be the 7th seed. And then you'd be looking at San Antonio first round matchup, which they've won 9 in a row. Hopefully that winning streak doesn't end, though. Hopefully they can take care of business against the Clippers. That game is April 2nd, so the next time that we play, it will be second half of a back-to-back, unfortunately. So maybe they rest players. They are healthy right now, which is good. And that is how the standings break down. Anyway, awesome game. Tom Dundon's era gets off to a wonderful start. And the Portland Trail Blazers still have a chance at the 8th seed. We've been dreaming about it all year. It's still a legitimate possibility. Hopefully some teams can help the Blazers out before their next matchup against the Clippers, which will be game 81. I can't believe the season's almost over. Maybe it's delusional, but I feel like we could possibly match up well with San Antonio if healthy. Yeah, I think for teams in the play-in, I think we might be the best at matching up with San Antonio. Obviously, San Antonio's a tough matchup. Like, it's not going to be an easy series. The Blazers are going to be massive underdogs if they play them. But I want that series, man. I want that series. We're going to have a new sponsor next postgame show, so that'll be cool. A center that shoots, hey, man, if Wemby beats us making threes, he beats us making threes. But also the way to guard Wemby is to put a power forward on him and then have your center playing around the rim guarding a non-shooter. I don't know who that non-shooter is anymore. They don't start Sohan anymore. In the past, it was him. But, yeah. Castle. Yeah, I mean, Castle's dynamic, though. It's a little tough matchup for Klingon. You can't just disrespect Castle. He doesn't shoot well, but he's good attacking the rim. Solid mid-range guy, can make plays. So it's not like your Jeremy Sohan type of guy from years past. But I think having a 7'2" massive big man helps with a guy like Wemby. Klingon knows Castle too. That's true. That's true. Yeah, I don't know. Get creative with the matchups. But, I mean, that's a team without a lot of playoff experience. We saw Houston last year. They were a 2 seed without a lot of playoff experience. They were good all regular season. Then they lost to the 7 seed Golden State Warriors. You never know, but, yeah, you gotta play your way there. So, first step, get the 8 seed. There's multiple steps to go into that. Take care of business against the Pelicans. And then if the Clippers beat one of the Thunder or the Spurs, then you got to beat one of the Nuggets or the Spurs. Get to that game against the Clippers, take care of business on your home floor. Get the 8th seed. And then win that playing game. Like, yeah, there's multiple things that need to happen here, but it's very possible. So, appreciate you guys watching the stream. Thank you for hanging out with us. Leave a like on your way out of here. Make sure you subscribe so you can stay up to date with the content as we head towards the plan. We'll have videos previewing playing games, that sort of thing. We'll have content around that, so I'm looking forward to that. Make sure you stay tuned for that. Blaze get a great win. If you're watching back after the fact and watch through the entire stream, let me know in the comment section. I always wonder if you guys make it to the outro. So let me know in the comment section and give me your thoughts on the game in the comment section below. We'll be back on Thursday. Because that's when the Blazers take on the New Orleans Pelicans at home. We'll have that post-game show for you guys. Looking forward to that. And looking forward to hopefully talking about the Clippers losing against the Spurs. Maybe we're in 8th after that night. Blazers 1 game above 500. Tom Dundon's the owner. I'm excited, man. I'm excited. Things are looking up. I don't say that much with this organization, but things are kind of looking up. So, we'll have you covered. Make sure you subscribe. Hit the like. And I'm out of here. Blazers win. Huge win. Great win over the Clippers to keep their 8th seed hopes alive. We'll catch you on Thursday. Until then, as always, peace out.